occurrence in Germany, and I put it to you and see what arises in your awareness related to it. Before the meditations there, it was said, there's a riddle. And this riddle was, two men are walking down the street and it begins to rain. Why is it that the rain doesn't fall on one man? And you could see everyone wriggle a little bit. You could see the minds ticking over. Maybe one was wearing a raincoat, maybe one had an umbrella, maybe one was walking. You could hear the minds churning over this riddle. But then we went into meditation. And after the meditation, after the story was told, it was said, now, this riddle, two men walking down the road, and it begins to rain. Why is it that the rain only falls on one man? Now, because there were different people from different parts of Europe there, we had to break off into groups, a little Slovenian group, a little German group, a little French group, where the stories could be translated. And it was, people were invited, which is a little bit different custom, to discuss the stories, to come to maybe an understanding and everyone to share what they thought about the stories. So this went on, and of course the riddles were also discussed. But then when we sat together after all the translation had taken place, someone spoke up and said, could it be that the rain only falls on one man because one man is everything, all things? And immediately there was consensus. Everyone agreed. There was no doubt. This was a truth. Now the question that we could ask of ourselves, was it the change in semantics? Was it the change in the wording to say, why does the rain not fall on one man? And change it to, the rain only falls on one man, that understanding was arrived at? Or was it something that happened during the meditation time? Now yesterday, the little story was told of the spiritual student who went into his meditation hall and saw his master meditating there, but he noticed that his master's mouth was moving. So he went over to his master and he bent down and he listened. And he could hear that his master was expounding mystical truths. But then he saw that the room was filled with angels. And there was a celestial being. But then the master opened his eyes, and the celestial being and the angels disappeared. But the student said to the master, Master, I saw your lips moving and I bent to listen. And then the room was filled with angels and a celestial being. And the master said, did you hear my words? And the student said, yes, master, but I didn't know their meaning. But then I saw the angels and the celestial being. And the master said, then that means that you understood. So these two things really go together, don't they? But in your awareness, from your experience, what is it? Was it the change in semantics? Or does something really happen in meditation? Does, oh, we know it, something really does happen when stillness and movement meet, when the movement of the minds meet stillness. Whether it be the stillness in ourselves or the stillness that's created in a meditation. What happens? Understanding the words propounding mystical truths. It's got nothing to do with understanding. The Master said, oh, that means you understand. It's got nothing to do with him sitting there with his mouth moving, speaking of profound truths. It was something, no, I'm putting words into, isn't it? What's your experience? What happens to us?
He didn't understand the word with the mind,
No.
but he just allow what knows to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And didn't that happen in the meditation group too afterwards? A consensus. Everybody knew this is the truth. The rain only falls on one man because one man is all things. This is at one level it's ridiculous, and another level it's totally profound, a total truth, isn't it? And we get it.
It's internally satisfying.
It's internally satisfying. We all nod. We all agree. Total consensus. What is it?
Because the sorry.
No. My way to see that when the man in the rain is could we say that we are like opening to the sky, or
Yes, you can say that. You can make that a description of
is
it.
an
Yes.
opening inside?
Yes, opening to knowing, if you want to put it that way, isn't it?
Because at first the mind was so busy looking for a rational solution that
yeah.
what it is can't be seen.
No.
And after the meditation, the mind was more still,
Dear.
and then it was what it is was allowed to be seen.
Yes. So perhaps we can have a consensus that meditation does something. We can call it opening to knowing. We can give it a description outwardly, and we can also give it a description inwardly. Can't we? We can express it in many different ways. But there's one thing we do experience, and that is when we speak a truth from our experience, whatever it is, everybody gets it because we've said it. So, is it the meditation, or is it?
It's a sign.
An example of the oneness and unity.
Absolutely. An example of the oneness and unity. Isn't it? But how do we live that? How do we bring it about every moment of our daily life? Absolutely, to be in that place of oneness and unity at all times.
What my experience has been is to be in that place of just that vulnerability. It's I'm reminded of this, of standing open to things instead of, pretending, just standing totally open to I use the word life in that, in some way that is an essence of creation.
Yes.
I mean, what is life?
Yes. Not a thought, an opinion about anything. It's like the experience in Las Vegas. You know, we have judgments about it. You know, the people, the gambling, the waste, the hustlers on the street, and all of these things you can make. You know, it can be like maybe seeing a leper. This smells, but when you don't have any thoughts about it at all, it was like music. You know, the traffic going by, the hustlers, the sound of them, everyone playing, the poker machines, or the music blaring. But when you're not trying to keep anything at bay at all, it makes music.
And give name.
Yes, no names at all. So you walk the strip and you're being bombarded in all ways, all sounds, at all levels. And yet it's music. Music of life. Because you're not pushing anything. You have no barriers, no shields, no veils.
So it doesn't impact on anything.
It doesn't impact on anything. It doesn't. But is that the end of the story for us? We can come to agreement about it.
I was just reminded, when you were speaking of that, I was just also reminded of like when you spoke about the Hopi and how that just affects us. And so in sitting in that place of being open, but also feeling,
Of course.
feeling that comes with,
And we weep.
and not just that, but other things. You see what's
Totally. Totally.
You can't help but be affected.
You cannot help but be affected. Cannot. So, but in that place, what is there to do? Is it in the words? Is it in the words of comfort we give to someone when a child is died? Is it embracing them? Is it looking at them with pity? Those Hopi Indians didn't want anyone to look on them with pity. They were proud. They were proud people. There was no way that you would be condescending to them in any way at all. Seeing them live in their poverty and their dreadful state, they were proud. They were clinging to their rituals and their ceremony and their traditions, even though they knew they're dying. No way could you offer them anything. Not even money. It would be degrading to even do it. Do you understand what I mean? I couldn't do it. I couldn't offer them. Sure, you might buy a few trinkets, but no way could you offer them anything, because it would be condescending. You wouldn't do it. Be proud. Stand there. And it's nothing more than in life acknowledging that everybody knows we can give them nothing. Not words of wisdom, not alms, not solace. Nothing. We can just rejoice in their knowingness. And they know how we are knowingness to us. Isn't it so? But it's a place, isn't it? It's a place.
It's a death in general, isn't it?
Yes.
When, I heard something on the radio the other day, and yesterday, and they were talking about palliative care
Yes.
and how actually that 90% of people actually die a good death when they're given proper support. And
Yes,
you
that's
know,
so.
there is a minority
Yes,
that does suffer greatly
Yes.
assistance
And
with that, but the majority of people, when they're supported in the right way, don't need the drugs and don't need anything, but also having the openness about it.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of the problems come from doctors. What one doctor said, palliative care doctor said, is not wanting to have the conversation.
Yes.
You know, of acknowledging this is a death.
Yes.
There's nothing more that can be done. And so how can we just be with this? Yeah?
Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes.
If we're going to give anything to the Hopi, it's their thanks for being.
Oh, what a heritage they've left for mankind.
Absolutely. With palliative care, that's my line of work.
That's your line of work, and that's what you
I've
do.
seen many pass over.
Yes.
And yes, it's by being there, giving them that kindness and that love, accepting them for where they're at.
Yes.
Makes
Yes.
a big difference.
Big.
Doesn't know if the doctor's a person who has no idea. It's what they give and what they're surrounded with, especially the family.
Yes.
Yeah.